Hi, I'm Johnny and you're watching the Hexy Beast. And on today's episode, I'm going to be doing a quick review of this game right here, Terraforming Mars, by Jacob Fixelius and published by Stronghold Games. Anyway, let's get it to the table, shall we? So this is Terraforming Mars. The taming of the Red Planet has begun. Corporations are competing to transform Mars into a habitable planet by spending vast resources and using innovative technology to raise the temperature, create breathable atmosphere, and make oceans of water. As terraforming progresses, more and more people will immigrate from Earth to live on the Red Planet. In Terraforming Mars, you control a corporation with a certain profile, play project cards, build up production, place your cities and green areas on the map, and race for milestones and rewards. Will your corporation lead the way into humanity's new era? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do when starting a game of Terraforming Mars is we're going to take these 3 white cubes from inside the box. I'm going to place them on the -30 space on the temperature track, the number 1 space on the score track, and then we're going to place the other white cube on the 0 space on the oxygen track. Then we're also going to take these 9 ocean tiles and we're going to place them in the ocean spot on the board by here. As well as that, we're also going to place this green cube representing our player colour on the number 14 space by here, marked with this solo symbol. Next, we're going to take all of these double-sided forest and city tiles and we're just going to lay them in a pile off to the side, ready for us to use throughout the game. Then we're going to take the various cubes of different colours. These are for money, so this is a 10, a 5 and a 1. They also mark resources. As well as that, we're also going to take the player marker cubes, which you're going to place on top of tiles when you place them on the board. Lay them to piles off to one side because you're going to need them throughout the game. Okay, next we're going to take all of these brown tiles and this white city tile and place them off to the side of the board. We don't need them just yet, but cards will call for them throughout the game. Next you're going to take one of these player boards and lay it out, ready to start the game. But I don't want my cubes to slide around, so I've actually gone and got an E-Raptor overlay from my board. So the one I'm going to be using is going to be this one. Okay, next we're going to take the cards with this back, shuffle them up and deal 2. And this is basically going to help us choose our corporation for the rest of the game. So first, let's take a look at these. Basically, what's on top of them is you'll have a special ability and some starting resources. And right now, looking at what we've got, I think the best option for us would be to go for the Mining Guild. So I'm just going to take this Mining Guild card, place it next to my player board to remind me what I'm aiming towards. Okay, next we're going to take all the cards with this back and we're going to shuffle them up nicely, ready to go off to the side of the board. These are basically going to be the cards that we're going to play throughout the game. Okay, next we're going to take some of these green cubes and we're basically going to be putting them in the 0 spots on this board to mark our production for now. Just like this. Okay, so now, based on our starting card, we're going to start with 30 minis, 5 steels, and 1 steel production. So let's do that now. So that's 30 money, which we're just going to place right here. 5 steel, silver one, which is going to go by here. And we also remember we get 1 steel production. So to mark that, we're just going to move this green cube up to the 1 spot. But there. This means that every turn, we're going to get a steel in the production phase. Okay, the next thing we're supposed to do is place 2 city tiles randomly on the board. And to do this, what I'm going to do is draw 2 cards off the top of the deck. And then we're going to count the spaces. First one's going to be from the top and the next one's going to be from the bottom on the board to place these 2 cities. So to place our 2 cities, the first city, as you noticed, is an 8. Which means we're basically going to count 8 spaces from the top, skipping the oceans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first neutral city is going to go here. And the second one, if you remember, on this card, was a 2. So, whoops. So this is going to go 1, 2, and rest by here. Then we're going to take 2 greenery tiles and place them next to the city tiles. So we've got 1 by here and 1 by here. Okay, so the next part of the turn, we're ready to start the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw 4 cards off the top of this deck. And now it's up to us, but we can choose from any of these 4 cards to keep any of them. But we have to pay 3 in money for each one we keep. Let's talk about 3 different types of cards while we're here, actually. So the first type of card you got is these, which will just get played out for their effect. In this case, is to increase our plant production by 1 step. Another type of card is these blue cards, which will basically open up different actions for you. So you would place it off to the side, and then on any turn, I could actually choose to spend 7 monies to increase my power production. And the third type of card is an event card, which is basically played and then flipped down. In this case, this one would give me 3 plants, 3 microbes, or 2 animals. It would also allow me to place an ocean tile. So, for first of all I think we should do is we're going to spend 6 money and we're going to keep these 2 cards. So we'll just discard the others. And then we're going to spend one of these gold cubes, which is a 10, and get 4 bronze, which are 1s, as change. So our goal in Terraforming Mars is to increase this white cube to the top here, this white cube to the top here, and place all 9 oceans by the end of the 14th round, which is marked by this white cube over here. So let's get on with it, shall we? As well as the cards we play, there are also some standard actions, which we'll talk about when we use them. Okay, so in order for us to play any of these cards, we first have to pay the cost in the top corner. And the first card I'm going to play, I think, is going to be this Adapted Liching card, as a guesser's plant production, which is very useful for placing greeneries. So we're just going to pay the 9 resources and place that down there. So that's 9, we take away this 10 and put back one of the bronze. Then at this point we apply the effect of the card, which in this case is to increase our plant production by 1 step. So let's do that now. There we go. Okay, so seeing as we've got the money, I think we should actually try and check out one of these standard projects. And the one I'm going to check out is Asteroid. So first I'm going to pay 14, so I'm going to take these 4 bronze, whoops, and this gold. Okay, so because we chose the Asteroid standard project, what we're going to do is we're going to raise our temperature by 1. This will also increase our terraforming rating by 1 by here. Okay, so because we haven't got any more money to perform any more actions, I think our best bet right now would be to say that we've passed our turn, and then we're going to move on to the production phase. And in the production phase, we are going to basically collect the amount of money represented by our terraforming rating, and then we're going to check all these cubes here to check what other resources we can gather. So in this case, what we're actually going to do is we're going to get 15 money, we're going to get 1 steel, no titanium, we've got 1 plant, no power production, and no heat so far. Okay, so now that the production phase is over, we're also going to advance the round marker to round 2. So same as before, we're going to draw 4 cards off the top and decide what we're going to keep. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's have a look. Looking at what we've got here, I actually don't think we're going to be able to afford that much. Also worth paying attention is that there are tags in the corner. So some cards, for example, will say, when you play a science tag, you may discard a card from your hand to draw a card, for example. But we're not going to take that one. In fact, I think I'm actually just going to take this Knock This City card to use later. So I'm going to place that over here in my hand. And that's going to cost me 3. So we're going to pick up the silver and put 2 bronze back on our player board. So looking at it, we don't actually have much money. So I think my best bet for this round would probably just be to increase my power production. This is going to cost me 11 money. So that's going to be 1 gold and 1 bronze in order to increase my power production by 1 step. Oop, here we go. Okay, so that was a very short turn. I didn't have much money or much resources to perform actions. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to end my turn there and go straight into the production phase. So once again, we get 15 for money, 1 for steel, 1 for trees, and everything else is a 0 apart from our power. So we got power production now as well. So that brings us to round 3. So same as before, take 4 off the top. Another good thing to note is that anything with this little building icon in the corner means you can spend steel at a rate of 2 money per steel to play that card. So I think what I'm actually going to do this turn is I'm going to take this industrial centre, and I'm going to take this deep well heating as well. So that's going to cost me 6 money in order to keep those cards. So that's costing me 6. I'm getting to keep these two. Let's put them down here. Okay, so a card I'm going to choose to play this turn is deep well heating. And for a cost of 13, it'll increase our energy production by 1 step and increase the temperature by 1 step. This will get us an extra terraforming rating, so that's good. Also notice, I can use steel to construct this building. As is 13, the steel transfer rate is 2 money per steel, so that's 10, 12, and because the cost of the card is 13, it's actually only going to cost me 1 of my own money to actually play it. Okay, so we play this deep well heating card, like so. That'll increase the temperature. This means that this will increase by 1, and we'll also get an extra power production, because that is also what's written on the card. I think, now that we've got 10 bucks left, I think what we should do is actually pass this phase and move on to the next round. Okay, before we end our turn, remember, we gotta go through production phase again, which in this case is going to be a 5, a 10, and a 1, because my terraforming rating is 16. We're also going to get another steel. We're going to get 2 power, and 1 plant as well to go with it. Then, once again, the round tracker is going to advance. And now, same as in every round, we draw 4 off the top. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in this case, I'm actually going to choose not to keep any of them. While we're here, though, you may notice that some of these cards have requirements in order to play for them. So, in this case, if I wanted to play Cupola City, I would have to have a maximum oxygen production rating of 9%. But we're not actually going to keep any of these, and we're just going to move on to the next part of the turn. Okay, so we didn't draft any cards this round, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to place one of these greenery tiles based on this standard project by year. And I'm going to show you how to do this now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to spend 23. So that's 25 with 2 change. Now that we've paid the cost, we're going to take one of these greenery tiles and we're going to get to place it on the board. For the first one, it's going to be anywhere we want, but for any tile we place afterwards, I'll have to connect to this one. But greenery tiles can't go into the water, so I think the place I'm going to put it is by here. Also notice that we also get 2 plants for placing this tile, so I'm going to place this tile here, put my thing on it, and also look at the top here, we've got an oxygen marker, so this means that we're actually going to raise the oxygen level by 1, as well as that we also get a terraform rating. So basically, anytime we place a greenery tile, raise the temperature, or place an ocean tile, we're going to get a terraform rating. Anyway, let's carry on with our turn. Okay, so we've only actually got 3 money left, but we have got 2 steel. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this opportunity to place this industrial centre card. This also means we have to place one of these brown tiles adjacent to a city tile. So let's get on with that, shall we? So we pay for the card in steel. That's all 4 of its resources covered. And because we paid the cost in steel, we get to place this into our engine. So this will mean that in every turn, if we have 7 money, we can spend it to increase our steel production. As well as that, though, you may notice on the card, it says to place this tile. And we have to place this next to a city. So let's do that now. Okay, so looking at the board, we're going to place this next to the city up top here. Don't forget to mark it with one of your player colour cubes. Okay, so with that, we're going to pass, and that brings us back on to the production phase. So we're going to get 17 money, which we're going to do now. So we've got 1, 2, a 5, and a 10, and we also have 1 steel production. We have 1 plant production, and we also have 2 power productions. As you can see, this is all starting to build up. Basically, anytime your plant production reaches 8, you'll be able to convert those plants into another greenery. Also, if we had a heat rating, it would cost us power in order to increase the heat. And anytime the heat has 8 cubes in it, we can trade them in for a temperature upgrade. So anyway, let's get on with our next turn. So on to round 5. Okay, so same as before, we're going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this time, I think I am actually not going to take any of them. I'm going to show you another standard project. And the project I'm going to show you this time is going to be the aquifer, which allows us to place an ocean tile. So first we're going to have to spend the resources. Okay, so for an aquifer, that's going to cost us 18. So that's a 10, a 5, and 3 ones. It's just if I can pick them up. And that means that we're going to get to place an ocean tile. So we're going to take one of these ocean tiles from up top, and we have to place it next to one of these. So I'm going to place it by here. Notice we don't mark it with our player, as these count for the AI as well. And we've also got 2 trees underneath. So we've got 2 plants for that. And as well as that, we get to increase our terraform rating by 1 again, giving us 18 money per round. And that's it. So let's just move on. But wait, there's more. If you haven't noticed, we now have 8 plants. So what we're going to do is we're going to trade all these in to make a greenery on the board. So let's do that now. So let's gather all these, if I don't drop them everywhere, and go place that greenery. Okay, same as before, take a greenery tile and a cube of our own colour, and we place them on the board. And in this case, it's going to get us 2 plants as well. And also, this means the oxygen goes up, and so does the terraforming rating. Okay, so this brings us back around to the production phase. And we're going to have 19 money over here. We're going to have 1 steel and another tree, as well as 2 power. So that's on to round 6. Okay, same as before, we're going to draw up to 4 and spend 3 to keep anything that we might want to. And in this case, I actually don't think there's anything here that I fancy keeping. Oh, actually. Yeah, shall we take this research outpost so I can show you how to place a city? So that's going to cost me 3 money. So away that 3 money goes. So another one of the standard projects worth paying attention to is the sell patterns. And this basically means for each card you sell, you will actually get a money. So right now, I'm going to take these 2 cards. I'm going to discard them and gain 2 money on my player board. Okay, so for 18 money, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this research outpost card, which basically will mean that every card I play in future will be cheaper, and I'm also going to get to place a city tile. But note, I'm not allowed to place it next to other tiles, so let's do that now. So first we place this in our blue card area. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these city tiles. That's off the back of a green tile. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our player cubes and we're going to place it on the board. Remember, we're not allowed to place it next to other tiles. So for the sakes of this turn, what I'm going to do is I think I'm actually going to place it by here. Also, let's not forget that because we placed the city tile, we get to increase our money production by 1. Okay, so after this production phase, I'm going to play one more turn and then we're going to go to the table and I'm going to tell you what I think. So for this production phase, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our terraform rating plus 1 in money. In this case is 20. So we get 20 monies, 1 steel, 1 tree, 2 power. Then, as usual, our round tracker advances. Okay, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is actually going to do an asteroid standard project, which in this case is going to cost me 14. So we're going to take the 20 away, a 5 and a 1 in its place. Okay, so that's going to increase our temperature rating by 1. And as you've noticed, there's something here which is basically going to increase our heat production. So that's heat production up 1 step. Also, don't forget, because we increased the temperature, we also put our terraforming rating up by 1 step. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through one last production phase and then I'm going to go back to the table to tell you what I think of the game. So first things first, we get 21 money. Then we're going to get 1 steel, 1 plants, and 2 power. And because we now have a heat production, we're actually going to move 1 power, because our heat production of 1, over to the heat space. And then we move the round tracker onto round 8, and that's basically where I'm going to end this part of the video. So let's get back to the table, and it's time for me to tell you what I think. Okay, so that was my quick look at Terraforming Mars. Now it's time for me to tell you what I think. So for the first category, we've got aesthetics. And in aesthetics, it only scored a 7. And there's some very good reasons for this. I personally believe that the fact that it uses a lot of public domain art on the cards, it's going to lose points for it because, you know, they could have went through the effort and actually put art on all the cards. Although I will say one of the good things is none of the cards are actually repeated throughout the game. Also, these cubes, although they look pretty at first, you will find that after a game or two, a lot of the paint will actually start chipping off them. In general, the overall quality of the game is actually quite cheap, so that's why for aesthetics I've given it a 7. Now, we're going to move on to the gameplay, and this is where the game really shines. Regardless of its component quality, I think there's a really interesting engine to be built here. There's plenty of interesting decisions, and the game is quite tough. You're very rarely actually going to win the game and get to those 14 rounds and have all 3 of those bars up to max. I will say I really did enjoy the card play as well. Keeping an eye on your engine, watching that production phase get stronger and stronger as you go was absolutely a wonder. So for gameplay, I've actually decided to give this one a 9. And that basically brings us on to the accessibility. And for accessibility, I don't know, see, because it is quite a complex game, but also at the same time it's actually quite simple to learn. So accessibility wise, I think mainly because it's really hard to explain actually. It's kind of heavy, but the actual things you do in turn to turn, it's not that hard. And the rule book was well written as well, so that's always a plus. But one of the problems I found with it is that you really do sort of need to know the game well to play it well. So for accessibility, I've actually decided to give this one an 8. Okay, so the total score for Terraforming Mars is going to be an 8 out of 10. This is a perfectly respectable score. I think it's a great game with a few component quality issues, basically bringing that score down from a 9. Anyway, if you really like what you're watching and you fancy adding some games to your collection, or you like some of the games I cover on the channel, please check out a link in my description to Firestorm Games. They're my local store. They have 10% off FRP across the board, no pun intended. As well as that, in most cases, there is free shipping on orders over £40. So anyway, if you like what you see, please feel free to smash that subscribe button up there and check out another one of my videos up here. I've been Johnny, you've been watching the Hexy Beast, and most of all, stay hexy everyone!